What is going on, everybody? Garrett back here, and we've got something a little bit different tonight, a little bit special. We're going to be talking about music that have to do with movies, so soundtracks, and we're going to go non-horror tonight. It's going to be pretty interesting because, again, there's so many non-horror soundtracks that are just so well known that people love, but we wanted to kind of dig a little bit deeper tonight and find ones that we really like that maybe you've heard and maybe you haven't. So I see that the chat right now is filling up. People asking questions, people throwing their picks out, which is what I want tonight. I want you guys to start throwing them out there because there was only so many we could each pick. We have stacks of stuff that I brought to the table, CDs, cassettes, vinyls, and then obviously things that I think should make this list that I just don't have in my collection. So it's going to be a pretty good time tonight. I will go through the chat, say what's up really quick, and then I'm going to bring in my guests who are hanging out with me this evening. So we've got Foz Rotten. He says the Angus soundtrack. You know what? Angus was a great soundtrack. I had that as a kid. That Green Day song was so badass on that album. Adrian James, always in the house, always early and ready to go. I love it. Foz Rotten brings up The Crow, which is definitely one we are going to touch upon. He's talking Juice with some Tupac Shakur. Jason Guy is in the house. He brings up a lot of good ones here that we're going to probably chat about tonight. Look at Brandon in the house. Just says butter. This guy, he's the man, dude. It's just straight, simple, to the point. Sam, what is going on? Hall & Oates in the house. What's going on? Summertime Blues is looking for the Butterman. They are searching for that Butterman. Girl Next Door soundtrack. I don't know if I've ever heard that. It could have been down around that time where, like, you know, there was some cool soundtracks. Like even like the American Pie ones were really cool back then. And what is going on? Blu-ray Addict, what is up? Don Morton, what's going on? Caveman, hit that like and subscribe button before you go. That is right for me and my two guests, which we will bring in about 2 seconds. I see Dakota in the house. What is going on, man? I hope you are well as well. Jason is in the house over here. What's going on? Blu-ray Addict brought up. Oh, yeah. American Pie. I just said that unless you came in after I said that. Mizzy, the Miz in the house. What's going on? Dumb and Dumber. They have a great soundtrack as well. All right, people are popping in. I got to bring in my guests here. I got to bring them in because, guys, these guys love their movies. They love their music. So I think who else would be better to talk about this stuff tonight than this dirty duo? This dirty duo of YouTube is going to come into the show right now and help me with this list. So let's get ready for Planet Dirty.
I love
it. What an entrance, dudes.
That's amazing.
What an entrance, boys. Welcome to the show, man. So awesome to be doing this with you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're excited. I'm ready.
You are welcome. You're welcome. So we've been chatting all day about this. We really haven't told each other our picks or anything like that. So there's a lot of stuff that we may be coming through tonight that we each have on our list. But again, we had to keep it kind of simple in a sense that we could be here all night. And as much as the people might want it, we got to get to bed. You know what I mean? You guys were up late last night doing your thing. So we're going to try to make it as, I would say we got to make this under 2 hours.
I was thought 2 days because I'm ready to go. The longest music stream ever.
All right. So before we start, Christian, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Long, busy week. It's nice to be able to settle down and just hang out with the boys.
Yeah, man, for sure. And Brandon, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing swell. Likewise to Christian, it's been a very chaotic, stretched out week. I'm glad it's over. I'm not necessarily looking forward to restarting it all over again tomorrow, but I'm happy to be here tonight doing this. So this will help, break the week open, I think, in a good way.
Yeah, it's always tough doing these Sunday streams are fun because it's like you're ending the weekend kind of on like a fun note instead of being like, oh, tomorrow's Monday, So that's always a positive. But then when you wake up and you said, all right, here we go, the new week,
That's right.
But yeah, the chat is firing it up right now. But what we were talking about is the easiest way I think we should go about this instead of like a ranking, because it's so hard to rank these. We might say like, this is my favorite. But as far as trying to put these in a ranking, it's going to be hard. So I'm thinking maybe one of us just goes and we just keep going like round robin style around this thing and just throw up some different ones. And if we agree, disagree, maybe we haven't seen, or maybe they're on our list and we just kind of briefly chat about them. here, and then get the chat obviously involved. But before we start, there was some heavy hitters that we had talked about at the beginning and said we're all going to have these on our list, so I might as well throw these up now. Obviously we're not going to bring up things like the obvious, right? Dirty Dancing, I don't think, at least. Flashdance, like these are ones that everybody loves that, would be on everybody's list. But we figured, why talk about these? They've already been talked about 100 times. Same thing somebody brought up in the chat today too, which again is one of the best, at least when I was growing up. This thing was such a banger, was The Crow. And even City of Angels was another real cool one as well. So City of Angels was pretty badass too. So we want to just touch upon them quick, and then we will get to it. Now, do you guys have a choice on which one you guys enjoyed better? Because they were both big.
Brandon made me a bigger fan of City of Angels.
The City of Angels, it's
I like
so
every
good.
bit of it more than one, even the music.
It's better than the movie, I think. What do you guys think? Are you guys a big fan of City of Angels, the movie?
I am. I love that fucking movie.
You are a big fan.
I'm a
Dude,
huge fan.
Iggy Pop is in it. That's an automatic. That's an automatic B+.
He's so good.
But listen to this roster, dude, on this soundtrack right here. We have Hole, White Zombie, Filter, PJ Harvey, Bush, Tricky and the Gravediggers, Seven Mary 3, Toadies, Korn, Deftones, Iggy Pop, Above the Law featuring Frost. There's a lot of heavy hitters on this album here, and it's definitely one I was jamming out to as a teenager for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we can start our list now. Brandon, do you want to start up? Just throw something up there. Let's see what you got. These are non-horror soundtracks that we think everybody needs to check out.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 1996's Romeo and Juliet.
Ooh,
fucking fantastic soundtrack from the 90s. I had this on cassette way back in the day, but stuff like Number One Crush by Garbage, Local God by Everclear, Pretty Piece of Flesh by 1 Inch Punch. It has that Butthole Surfer song, Whatever. To You I Bestow by Monday. It has that Radiohead song, Talk Show Host. There's so many good fucking songs on that record. So many good songs on that record.
Yeah. I just got into Garbage not long ago too, and I was doing some research and I saw that they were on that soundtrack. I haven't seen that movie in a long, long time, but Garbage is badass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely great. Like classic, like mid to late 90s. I'm trying to think when. Probably mid to late 90s. I'm thinking Garbage is really hot. That was the big song that came out of that, right? That was the big one.
Yeah, I think it was like on all the trailers and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, so yeah, I agree. Romeo and Juliet, it's very, very cool. And even that movie too is one that it was a pretty big deal at the time. And
it was.
I don't hear a lot of people mention it that much anymore.
Yeah, I think it's a shame too, because it's a really well-made movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember liking it a lot.
Really stylish. The guns and the gangs and all those custom cars. It was awesome.
Let me see. I don't know. Was it a
there
double?
Was. Volume 2 was just the film score, which I also have, but we're not doing film scores, so I kind of left that in the back burner. Yeah. But it's got a killer score too. Like
yeah,
most
a lot of people are agreeing
films.
with you.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Very cool. All right, we're starting it out hot. Christian, what you got, man?
I'll stay in the 90s.
All right.
You got to go Airheads.
Woo! Hell yeah, a little Brendan Fraser action there.
And I unironically love the song, the Degenerated song that they make. I unironically love that. I've been wanting to cover it for so long. But it's really good. White Zombie's on here. I love the Motorhead song on here. I have the album. It's called Bastard, I think, but the Born to Raise Hell song is on here. But on this version, on the record version, you just get the regular version, but on this one you get the Ice-T added vocals on Born to Raise Hell. But it's got the Ramones, the White Zombie, Primus is on here, Four Non Blondes, Dig, and Anthrax. I love the movie. And shout out to my boy Brendan Fraser. Let's get Airheads 2 made. Let's go.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you this. I don't have that soundtrack, and I don't even know if I've ever heard it, to be honest. But like, is there any songs on it like that were supposedly them on it or no?
Well, I don't know. I haven't done the research to know. Like, I don't know who actually performs the song Degenerated. Like, I don't know what musicians actually did that. and I kind of like. I guess I subconsciously like keeping it that way and just really pretending in my head that they are the ones that really played it. But I don't know.
Degenerated was the Lone Rangers.
Well, I knew that's the name of them in the movie too, but like, is
Right.
there actually a band called the Lone Rangers? And this is just all went over my head, or what?
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know. Which is another one which is crazy too. And we're gonna, do a sequel to this show. And for instance, like even like Black Roses, like there was some of that was
Lizzie Borden.
Yeah, Lizzie Borden, but then on the soundtrack, some of it said Black Roses, which is really odd.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, well, wait, did they really sing this and perform this? Because it says Black Roses on the soundtrack, but it also says Lizzie Borden on some of the other songs that they performed in the movie. So,
yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird, but nonetheless, I love the score to Airheads. That introduced me to like Motorhead in a way growing up, because all I had heard was Ace of Spades. And I was like, oh wow, they actually have a lot of good songs. It's just they only had one that really broke. But yeah, I became a big Motorhead fan after watching Airheads because I started looking into them. So
now, is you guys' list tonight kind of more in vein of like 80s and 90s, or are you breaking through to like current stuff on any of your lists?
I ain't got nothing current because I don't like current music.
Yeah, everything in my list is pretty much 80s, 90s, I think.
Yeah, it's mine's kind of the same way. I think I have a couple of things in here that are considered current, but yeah, I just didn't know a lot of new things that maybe had great soundtracks. Like obviously one that gets talked about a lot is like the Guardians of the Galaxy one that had a lot of like big hit songs on it, which again, everybody kind of loves, but I don't own that soundtrack or anything like that. So I didn't bring that to the table, but hey, maybe you guys did, but I'm going to keep it to the 90s too, just to kind of go with the flow of what we're doing here. And that is Spawn soundtrack. I don't know if you guys were fans of this one.
Hell yeah.
This was kind of in the same vein as like The Crow. Like it was just really, really a hot soundtrack at the time when this came out. And, it had people like Filter, Crystal Method, Marilyn Manson, Orbital, Korn and the Dust Brothers, Butthole Surfers, Moby, Metallica, DJ Spooky, Stabbing Westward, Silverchair, Incubus, Rollins Band, Prodigy, Slayer. I mean, this had a bunch of stuff on here, and it was really, really cool. And that was always in rotation around that time, like when City of Angels and stuff had just came out. So super cool album if you guys haven't checked it out.
I'm such a big fan of Rollins Band. Like, I love Henry Rollins. He's one of my favorite humans.
Dude, you know what's funny? He came into my gym this was like 10 years ago. I was working in the city of Providence. I don't know why he was there, but all of a sudden I like go to the front desk and the girl's like, did you see who's on the treadmill over there? I'm like, no. They're like, Henry Rollins. I'm like, what?
I love Henry.
Like, I went up to him and like just said what's up to him. And he's like, hey, how are you? I'm like, if you need anything, just let me know. He's like, all right, cool, man. Thanks. And you know what the thing is that Henry Rollins, in my eyes, was going to be this giant, but he was not tall, but he was, he was still in good shape. But like, I thought he was going to be really like a pro wrestler style big.
Yeah.
But he was a little bit short when I met him, and Rollins Band was actually the second CD I'd ever bought when I got a CD player back in the day, and it was the one that had that song like "'Cause I'm a Liar."
Dude,
that one?
I love that record so much.
that was the album that I bought. The first album I bought my whole life on CD was Danzig, and then Rollins Band was the second one.
Perfect 1-2 punch. Low Self Opinion is like such a badass song. That's a great record. That is a great record.
I don't think Rollins Band gets enough love, to be quite honest with you.
No, because most people don't even know that Henry Rollins was like, I feel like more people know him now as just that guy that shows up on podcasts and TV shows. And like, they don't even know he was like the singer of Black Flag for a little bit. And then, he's just that guy that was like on TV now. And you just see him pop up in random shit.
Right. I mean, he really is. Now, what is he up to lately? Does he have a podcast now, I think, right? Is that kind of where he's at?
I wouldn't doubt it. Everybody does.
That's true. So, yeah, I mean, it's cool that we're sticking in the 90s. Brandon, where are you going to take us now?
I'm going to take us to Detroit Rock City's soundtrack. And I have to apologize. I don't own a lot of these on physical media anymore. I used to. I had those huge. A lot of these come from my huge CD binder that the CDs got scratched all to hell and don't play anymore at all. So I did own them at one time, but a lot of these I can't hold up and show you. But Detroit Rock City remains one of my favorite movie soundtracks, non-horror soundtracks. Stuff like School Days by the Runaways. You had that fantastic live version of Surrender by Cheap Trick. Dude, Jailbreak by Thin Lizzy. That song's like the ultimate leaving high school song. You know what I mean? You had Running with the Devil by Van Halen. Rebel Rebel by David Bowie. Boys Are Back in Town. You had the cover by Everclear. You had the regular version of the song in the movie, I think, but the Everclear song was pretty damn good. You had all the Kiss songs, you know, Detroit Rock City, Strutter, Shout It Out Loud. Plus, there was just so much shit in that movie that was so good that didn't make it onto the soundtrack, obviously, but the soundtrack being what it is still fucking fantastic. It's great.
Oh, man, such a great pick. It sure is.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to pick that, so I would have put that on my list too, but I think I've heard you talk about it before.
Yeah.
So I was like, I know Brandon's going to bring up Detroit.
It's a great road trip soundtrack. It's perfect.
Yeah, I've thought about getting a 27x40 of that movie poster too, because it's so cool.
You got to.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah, the artwork's fantastic on it. It's a really, really cool movie. And it's one of those movies that it's hard to believe that it wasn't filmed. It feels old. Like it feels 70s.
Very old, yeah.
You know, and there's not many movies that do that, you know, that well, where you kind of look at it, and if you didn't know any better, you were like, oh, this must have came out a long, long time ago.
Right.
And Dazed and Confused is another one. Like, for the longest time, I didn't realize that was like a modern movie. Like, I thought that was like a 70s movie. And then I remember saying to myself one day, like, how the hell is like people like Ben Affleck, like he has to be so old, you know? Like, I was so confused. And then I looked it up. I'm like, wow, like they really nailed that to make it feel like it was an old movie.
Yeah.
Great pick.
Yeah, definitely. We got CHH.
If you want, I can do like two real quick, because I don't think anybody's gonna have much to say about this. And I categorize this in the way I categorize Corey Feldman's music, where it borderlines being pretty good, and you just can't help but love it. I gotta throw it out. Actually, this really isn't even a movie, but just let me talk about it for a second. I gotta throw it out to the Coming Out of Your Shells soundtrack.
I freaking love that, dude. Skipping stones.
Yeah, the song "Count on Us," the last song, is like a freaking jam.
It's so good, man.
Dude, I love it.
Listen, I'm on board with that, because it, as somebody who likes like 80s like hair bands and stuff, like it's so look at that. You got the signatures, dude. Whoa. I don't have that soundtrack at all. I have the VHS, but I not the tape or the CD or anything.
Yeah.
Woo! That's fire.
Whenever stuff comes out around this time frame, like mid 90s, I always tell Sydney, because she's good at finding this stuff at cheap prices, I always prefer to have cassette over CD. I don't know why. So like that's why I have it on cassette instead of CD.
Look at this. Foz saw that live. That's
hardcore.
That's why he is who he is today.
That is so cool, man.
And my last bit of 90s, again, I categorize this as Corey Feldman's music, where it's borderline pretty good and I can't help but love it. But I love what the B-52s did on the Flintstones soundtrack. I love
that album, dude. Sick.
I love the Meet the Flintstones B-52 version. And then remember when they're dancing at that club where Barney had to get a job as a busboy, and it's called the Bedrock Twitch. And that's performed by the B-52s as well. So like the B-52s owned the soundtrack to the Flintstones, and I'll die on that hill. Nobody's gonna be like, oh yeah, man, but I love it. I can't help it. I love the Flintstones soundtrack.
That is great picks, man. I'm still actually really marking out over the Coming Out of Their Shelves pick, because those songs are so freaking catchy, but it's so cheesy, but at the same time, it's like, it's amazing.
Yeah. I guess that kind of counts, because that was a movie, right? I mean, it came out on VHS and stuff back in the day for kids to watch. So,
and can you believe, like, think about like the time we were in back then? They went on tour, dude, like a legit tour, like, and opened up like as a band. Like, it's wild.
Hey, y'all going to the concert tonight? Who are you going to see? I'm going to see the Ninja Turtles.
Have you heard their songs? They're killing it. Like, were any of those songs on the radio? I wonder. Like,
I doubt it.
Did Count on Us, like, was that like on the top 10 like list or something?
Dude, if I heard it on the radio as a kid, I'd be like calling into the station and be finding out who is that? Who performed that?
That's Leonardo, man.
Yeah.
Then like Shredder had a song. Did you ever see the VHS where Shredder just like totally just starts bagging all the kids and stuff?
Yes, I've
Oh my
I've YouTubed all of that.
He's like asking if the mother's his girlfriend or something. It's like a 10-year-old kid or whatever. It's so funny.
They need to put that. They need to put like a Blu-ray out. Vinegar Syndrome needs to put out coming out of their shell store.
I would mark out. Somebody asked this. Hold on, we're gonna definitely like the stream for sure. Is that a Pizza Hut release? I have no idea. No clue. I didn't even know if there was one or not.
MCA Records.
No Pizza Hut logo anywhere?
No, I don't see anything like that on here.
That'd be sick.
No Pizza Hut.
Look at Brandon over there. He's like, it's like a movie for him. What are you eating over there? Popcorn?
Buttered popcorn.
Buttered popcorn. You need any of these with it?
Dude, absolutely.
Oh, you want some?
By the way, if you're looking for a good microwave popcorn, I really recommend Jolly Time. It's fantastic.
Jolly Time. He's having a jolly time eating that right now.
It tastes so good. I am. My fat ass is having a jolly old time.
Speaking of, if you want the experience without the calories, you can get the You Need a Candle's wax melts featuring Brandon Tomato.
Are there still some left? I have mine right here.
Well, we're gonna restock them. I couldn't believe it, dude. They sold out faster than everything else.
Look at that.
The legend is every time somebody buys one of those, I gain a pound of fat. It's like reverse Santa or something.
Every time you light one of these things, like it's just more butter going in your system.
It is.
That's so funny.
It's like a voodoo doll.
That's amazing.
Oh man.
All right. So I'm gonna keep it. This is another one I think is pretty well known as being like a great soundtrack. Cassette tape. This is one I listened to all the time as a kid. And we're going Wayne's World.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. I don't know if any of you guys had this on your list at all, but I must have like listened to this thing over and over and over again. It's gonna be hard for me to see who's even on this, but you've got. Let me see what bands are on here. Obviously, Bohemian Rhapsody was the big one.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. You got Cinderella, Bullet Boys, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Black Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
You got Tia Carrera did her Ballroom Blitz. Jimi Hendrix.
I love that version.
Alice Cooper did Feed My Frankenstein, which is obviously killer. That was actually my introduction to Alice Cooper as a kid. Was from Wayne's World.
That scene is hardcore, man.
Oh,
the
so
giant
good.
skeleton and shit. I love that stuff.
Yeah. I wish I can go back in time and see that actual tour because that was a fantastic tour. It's a shame that there's no legitimate like DVD or anything out of a tour from that era. I wish there was.
Yeah, that looked so sick, even in the movie, like the stage and all that, the way it was set up and stuff like that. And then you got that sick, Megadeth song on this album as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Christian, have you seen Cooper in concert before? I know you're going, but have you seen him in the past or no?
Yes.
Now, is his stage show always extravagant like that?
Yes. Sometimes a little more, a little less, really depending upon if it's a big show with different acts and he needs to be able to get the stage cleared out quicker. I'm anticipating the show I'm going to next week to be a pretty elaborate show because it's a him-only show. There's no other bands. And he has been playing Man Behind the Mask the last couple dates I've been keeping up with. So he didn't play it last time, and I'm going to just go nuts if he actually plays it live. Because he didn't play it the last time I saw him. But the last show I went, when he played Feed My Frankenstein, this like 8-foot Frankenstein literally comes out on stage and goes back and forth. He cuts his head off with a guillotine. When he plays Nurse Rosetta, like a bunch of like Silent Hill nurses come out. It's fantastic. It's the greatest show on earth. So if you can get the chance, if he ever comes by, don't. And he's still in his prime. I swear to God, still sounds just as good as he ever has. So he's my hero.
Yeah, that is sick. So yeah, Don Morton says they would go just to hear Man Behind the Mask. But I mean, I'm sure he's got so many good hits, man. And
yes,
I don't know if we're going to talk about one tonight, but maybe we will. Another one that was from a movie as well. Also, Ben Grimm's going to go see Cooper with Rob Zombie. Yeah, I didn't even know that was happening. I think Alice Cooper's coming around me, but I think he's with Def Leppard, I think, and Motley Crue. I almost am positive they're coming around this summer, but I'd have to go check on that.
I'm thinking about going to see them in August in Florida.
Dude, I'm getting
Alice Cooper.
I'd go to Alice Cooper. I can't do Motley Crue anymore. Vince Neil sounds like a whiny pig. And as much as I love John 5, the reason I would go is to see one of the greatest 80 guitar players, Mick Mars. And if he would have been in any other band, he would have gotten the respect he truly deserved. But people,
he's out now, though, right?
He's got bad arthritis or something. Yeah. He was a lot older than the rest of the band. His age was always kind of hidden. Nobody really knows what his actual age is. If you look it up, there's a lot of, but he was a good 8, 9, maybe even 10 years older than a lot of those guys. So he was like in his mid 30s when he joined the band, when they were all 19, 20, 21. So it's a shame because he's such a phenomenal guitar player.
Well, there's like a lot of bad blood right now all of a sudden, isn't there? Right. I saw some stuff popping up like last 2 days or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because it's weird because I saw them in the summer this year, and he was there, and he obviously was not doing well. I mean, he was having trouble walking. I mean, he was up there playing. But I don't know if maybe they said this was their last tour, and they were like, "I figure it will go on again," or maybe they told him he just can't hang anymore. I don't know did they force him out, or did they? That's what it seems like with the bad blood is that he's being kind of forced out, or they're going back on tour maybe after saying they were done after this last one. I don't know.
Good question. All I know is I saw their farewell tour in 2014.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, they should, dude. And Alice Cooper opened for them. We left 3 songs to the end. My dad was like, "Let's just go. Let's beat the traffic." Vince Neil, he sounded so bad. The sound guy kept bumping his vocals under the mix of the band. Like, it's embarrassing. Just embarrassing.
Well, you know what they did really well when I saw them was they mask it with so much pyrotechnics, with so much shit going on the stage that they try to mask what he sounds like with like just so much stuff going on that your eyes are like all over the place. Like they had all these like smoking dancers all over the place. They had fire and smoke and pyro and lights, and it was hard to even really focus on like what he was doing because they were just masking it so well with all this other stuff. And it was a great show, but again, I think at the end of the day, like he doesn't have what he had before. It was fun to watch, but it was, like I said, it was masked very well.
Yeah. Well.
All right, so who's up now? Brandon. It's back to Brandon.
It is. It was Wayne's World, Garrett. So that's pretty funny that we had the same picks. I'm going to move on to my next choice, which
Wayne's World 2. No,
that's on the list. I'll get there. I'm going to go Goodfellas.
Oh,
there's something so good. I love this soundtrack. If you want to just chill out and have background music, or you want something that's like, you're doing busy work around the house or something, and you want something to kind of tune out to, Goodfellas is a great soundtrack. Stuff like Rags to Riches by Tony Bennett, Speedoo by the Cadillacs, Layla by Derek and the Dominoes, Beyond the Sea by Bobby Darin, obviously. Like it's just such a good soundtrack to a great movie. It helps you think about the movie. It's a lot of the same music that you hear in your grandparents' house and your parents' house growing up. It's just there's something so warm and nostalgic and cozy about that music. I love it. It's a fantastic fucking movie, fantastic soundtrack.
That's the beauty of movies is they'll introduce you to music you never in a million years would have stopped to listen to, but you will now. And not only that, when you listen to it, you're flooded with images of the movie that you love. And Scorsese does that so well with that type of, like, he owns whatever that specific genre is. And like, I trust his instincts 1,000,000% when it comes to the music in his movies. So that's yeah. Great pick.
Totally agree. All right, CHH.
I'm just going to throw a big one out. I don't know how we got to talk about Top Gun.
Woo!
You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
And my favorite song by Kenny is actually Playing with the Boys over Danger Zone. But Take My Breath Away is fire from Berlin. Miami Sound Machine. Yeah. Tina Marie. Just great. This, I think it defined the mid 80s for sure. So, and Kenny Loggins was on top of the world during this time. So yeah, did Top Gun. Top Gun, that's mine.
Yeah, that was definitely a hot pick. I mean, even Ken says he went right into the danger zone with that pick.
I'll be talking about some more Kenny tonight too. Kenny's the man. Not that
Loggins.
Kenny, not mid-level. I'm talking about the real Kenny Loggins.
He doesn't hold a candle to Loggins.
No,
even with those Jaguar games.
Okay, it's a little bit closer now.
All right, he's getting up there. All right, I'm gonna bring it around to something way out of left field, but this soundtrack is so killer. And if you guys haven't seen the movie, I recommend doing both. And that is Miami Connection, which is a kick-ass martial arts movie. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this at all.
Love that movie so much.
Oh my god, it's so freaking good. And I'm trying to think of how this came out. This came out in 87, but it was like very lost. Like it kind of went into, obscurity, and it came back. Vinegar Syndrome brought it back. Draft House brought it back, and it kind of got like a second life. And Vinegar Syndrome and who else did it? Draft House, Enjoy the Ride Records. They all had to do with this release. And I definitely recommend it. It's got songs like, if you don't know the movie, basically it's about this band who basically know karate, and they're fighting off, cocaine gangsters and ninjas and all this junk. And it's hard to say. It's like an 80s, what would you say? Not 80s hair band sound. It was just very poppy, I guess. But they had songs like Friends Forever, which was like so freaking badass. You got the ones like Against the Ninja. Like it's just Taekwondo is like a name of the song, but they perform the songs in the movie. So you get a full experience. Like they'll literally have the band playing the full song on stage in the movie as like part of the movie. But the soundtrack is so killer. I don't know if anybody else in the chat has seen this one, but I highly recommend both the movie and the soundtrack.
I wonder if that vinyl's still available.
I don't know. Enjoy the Ride Records put it out. I think I may have got this on Vinegar Syndrome's site when they might have released it there first. Let me see if anybody else. Oh, Jason Guy says Friends. So yeah, definitely. Blu-ray Addict, I definitely recommend it.
It's great.
Oh, his cousin's Kenny Loggins. He said people are related by their first names. So that makes sense.
Yeah, Kentucky's a weird state.
Dilate is salivating at the vinyl.
That is a nice looking vinyl.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. We were going to bring those up just because they were just obvious picks. Let me see. But yeah, it seems like not many people are talking much about Miami Connection, but highly recommended. Like I said, both the movie and the soundtrack. All right, Brandon, what are you gonna fire us up with after the Miami Connection reference?
I'm gonna fire you up with the soundtrack to Batman Forever.
Oh,
you son of a bitch! You son of a bitch!
Is that on your list?
No, I don't want to say it. Go ahead.
Okay.
You're
I mean, how can you not love the soundtrack? Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me by U2 is fucking awesome. Obviously, Kiss from a Rose is awesome. Smash It Up by The Offspring kicks fucking ass. The Iggy Pop cover of the Passenger is awesome. And that funny ass song, Bad Days by Flaming Lips, that funny ass song that plays when the Riddler's going into his like studio. Dude, that soundtrack is killer.
Dude, I hate U2. I passionately hate U2.
Oh, I hate. Listen to me. I hate U2 as well. I can't fucking stand that band. But Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me is fantastic.
And we don't have to get into it. You know why I hate U2 probably. But dude, it's not my pick. I as a matter of fact, I didn't even have it on my list. But how? And watch, the chat will disagree with me. The '89 Batman had Prince said, "I'm going to give you guys an entire freaking record." Prince. One of the legends of music, but you're going to say Batman Forever. Batman Forever.
Collectively, listen, I'm a Prince guy, but collectively, the Batman Forever soundtrack wins hands down.
You are dirty, filthy butter.
I will say I had both of those albums growing up. Obviously, the '89 was a huge one for me. It was killer. Like you said, Prince had all those songs. I mean, even like
Prince.
Even Bat Dance, which I don't even think, did that even make the movie, or was that just another... Or was that on the credits? I don't remember the end credits, maybe.
I'm more familiar with just listening to the record.
Oh,
I have the cassette tape. I need to get the vinyl of it.
That's what I have, the cassette, and I do think I have the vinyl as well. But Batman Forever though was pretty big, and I think, to be honest, like that is my favorite U2 song. Is that one? It was a great album, like you said. The Seal song was gigantic at the time. Like, what was that, like #1 back in the day, like on all the stuff?
Crazy huge, man. Yeah.
Miss 80's in the house. I have to give her props because big on her channel with music and stuff, soundtracks and all that stuff. So thanks for popping in here.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Foz Rotten says it was a force. Oh, Batman and Robin was fire too. I don't know what that soundtrack had. I don't remember what that one was.
I think it had 2 versions of that Smashing Pumpkins song. The end is the beginning and the beginning is the end, or something like that. Both versions are awesome.
You know, I can't hate on Schumacher. You know what I mean? So I gotta just kind of roll with the punches. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets way too much flack for that movie.
It's hard to hate Seal's "Kiss on a Rose." I just don't like U2, man.
Also, by the way, real quick on that note, Seal is apparently a huge Alice in Chains fan, so it makes him even 10 times better than he already is. Just throwing it out there.
Everybody should be a big Alice in Chains fan.
That's true.
Right?
Hell yeah. Yeah.
All right, Christian, what you got?
Let's see. I'm gonna save my heavier ones for last. I really love this soundtrack. There was a great song that is featured in the movie, Chevy Chase Fletch soundtrack. There's a great song called "Bit by Bit" by Stephanie Mills, and this song's so catchy. I'm actually surprised that it was not a much bigger hit than it was back in the day. But it's a great soundtrack. There's great songs on here. I'm not too familiar with some of the artists, but Dan Hartman, I think people have heard of him. John Farnham, but the Stephanie Mills title track is phenomenal for Fletch. It's ridiculously catchy, and it sets the tone for the movie so well. So I am biased. Chevy Chase is my favorite comedian, but like the soundtrack to Fletch really puts it over the edge. So check that song out, "Bit by Bit" by Stephanie Mills. There you go.
All right, I'm going to go to one that is pretty obvious. That's probably on a lot of people's lists, but that's going to be the Karate Kid soundtrack. Front to back, this is such a great album, along with the movie itself. You know, you got The Moment of Truth, Survivor. You've got Bop on the Beach, No Shelter, which is such a sick song. That's when they're riding the dirt bikes down the hill. Young Hearts, It Takes Two to Tango, Tough Love, Rhythm Man, Feel the Night, which is another fantastic song when they're at golf and stuff. And then obviously The Beast, which is You're the Best Around, which is such a huge song. Karate Kid soundtrack. And I might even say Karate Kid 2 is another good one with, Glory of Love and all that other stuff. It's another great soundtrack. But I just brought the part 1 to the table. I think obviously it's one that I think a lot of people really enjoy, but it's got a lot of great songs on it if you only are familiar with Best Around.
That's a banger.
Oh, yeah.
I love shit like that, man.
But you know what else is weird is there's a song in the movie that's so badass that never made it to the soundtrack, and you've really got to dig deep to try to find it. It's the song when they first, it's right before No Shelter hits, but it's right when they, actually, no, it's not when No Shelter, it's when they pull up on the dirt bikes at the beginning and they see Daniel on the beach with Allie playing, juggling the soccer ball, and he says, ex-degenerate man, 8 a.m. tomorrow, I'm going to be, there's a song playing that goes like, back in the days of high school, that's not on here. And that was like my favorite tune on that whole movie. So don't know why that didn't make the list, but you can find it on YouTube, which is kind of almost like a missing song off that soundtrack, but it's super killer track if anybody knows what I'm talking about.
There you go.
Karate Kid for the Win, Cruel Summer, Karate Kid 2 Love, Karate Kid, Make His Knuckles Bleed. People talking Angus. You guys like Angus? Do you have that on your list by any chance?
No, but I've seen like 8 people mention it tonight. So
it was a big deal back then. It was like, because it had that Green Day song that was such a killer song. I can't even think of the name of it now, but it's a real awesome track.
Let's see. I'll look it up.
That movie was fantastic, but I don't have the soundtrack on my list. Kathy Bates is in that movie too, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's the mom.
It was a big hit. That song. It was a I'm trying to think. It was Slap something maybe it was called.
The Green Day song was called Jar.
Oh, that's what it was. Jar. Okay, Foz Rotten said that.
Nice.
All right, we're going on our next round here. People are bringing up some good ones in here. Some we probably will talk about, I'm sure. So that's why I don't want to bring everything up there because I'm sure a lot of it's on these lists. But actually, you know what? Before I jump in that, let me ask you guys this: CB4 is that the movie? Is that a movie with what's his name there from NWA? What's Eazy-E? Do you guys know anything about? Is that what CB4 is? If anybody knows.
It's the Chris Rock movie, isn't it?
It's a comedy / mockumentary.
Okay, because it was I don't know if I purchased it, but I had it in my cart for Kino. I had the Blu-ray, and I was like, "What's this Eazy-E Blu-ray movie?" I'd never seen it, so I was like, "This might be cool." But I may have taken it out before I checked out, but I wasn't sure if that was good because I didn't know anything about it. Oh, a parody of NWA. So that wasn't Eazy-E on the cover, or it was
Chris Rock? Right?
It was dressed as Eazy-E.
Yeah.
Bro, they had me fooled. I literally was like, "What's this Eazy-E movie?"
The cast looks pretty good. It's got Chris Rock, Alan Payne, Charlie Murphy, Chris Elliott, Phil Hartman's in it. It looks like it's pretty funny, honestly.
Oh, I should go back and try to get that on the next sale because unless I did get it, I haven't got my Kino order in yet. I knew I had like 20 titles in there, and I think I narrowed it down to like 15. So I don't know if that made the cut or not, but I had never seen it, so I might have taken it out. That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow, that's funny, man. I literally thought that was Eazy-E the whole time on the cover. All right, Butterman. Can't find the Butterman.
I think
you're going to do a cover of that song, and you're going to do the Butterman.
That's almost genius. Now you have to. Now you have to.
He's writing it down right now.
Let's go to Point Break next.
Oh, hell yeah.
Killer soundtrack. Nobody Rides for Free by Rats. I Will Not Fall by Wire Train. I Want You by Concrete Blonde. Amazing songs. Shark Island's My City, Over the Edge, LA Guns. It's a great fucking soundtrack to a great movie. This is one of those soundtracks that gets you pumped every time you put it on. You know what I mean?
Shark Island is a criminally underrated late 80s hair band. I forgot the name of the record that they put out in '89, but it's so fucking good. It's so good.
Yeah, I don't really know them beyond this soundtrack. I need to go check them out, I guess.
It's like a black, like the album art has the band. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those songs is on. When did Point Break come out? 90?
91, I think.
91.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're phenomenal. Phenomenal band. Law of the Order is the name of the record that came out in '89. It's so good. Let me see what songs on the. I can't remember. I haven't seen Point Break in like 5 years. Let's see.
It's funny because at work, my production manager Anthony was editing a surf video in his office, and he was editing to the "I Will Not Fall" song, and he had it blasting from his room. And I went in there like, "Are you fucking watching Point Break?" He's like, "No, it's the song though."
Oh man, Point Break is awesome.
It was killer.
LA Guns is great too. I love LA Guns.
Mm-hmm.
I think I brought up, I could be wrong. I did a top 25 90s movies, and I think I brought up Point Break in there because I absolutely love that movie. And it's just so funny because to me, Fast and the Furious is basically the biggest Point Break ripoff. They just basically did cars instead of surfboards, and it's like the same exact movie. And I always found that so fascinating. And that came out and I saw it. I was like, Fast and Furious is cool. I was like, but it's basically just Point Break.
Yep. No, it looks like that was just a song that Shark Island did for the movie. Mm-hmm. So still cool though. Great band.
All right, CHH. What we got next on your lineup?
I may as well just bring this up. Goddamn Cobra, dude.
Oh, heck yeah.
I mean, my favorite song is actually the Jean Beauvoir Feel the Heat.
Wow.
But it's a killer track. But I mean, anytime John Cafferty and Stallone get together, you've got bangers. You got absolute bangers. And Voice of America's Son doesn't play till the end of the movie when they're on the bike and they're driving away, but it's such a good song. And then of course you can't go wrong with Robert Tepper either. I mean, Angel of the City is every bit as good as No Easy Way Out, in my opinion.
I totally agree. I think that it gets slept on way more than Easy Way Out always gets talked about, right? Angel in the City never really gets talked about the same way. And I think I personally like it better. As well. So I posted that on Instagram today to promote the show, and I had that as my pick to post because again, it's just such a killer montage, killer song, and that movie is so badass. It almost like crawls that fine line of like action and horror with that movie. I think it's just really, really good. And to me, that is one of my top 3 Stallone movies. I think we did a whole Stallone show, and I probably mentioned that, but
there's a back just in case anybody wants. Look at Bridget, man.
She was something else, man, in this movie.
Yeah, that was a failed marriage. We had a 40-year-old Sylvester Stallone marrying a 19-year-old Bridget Nielsen. You knew that was going to end in tragedy. But, yeah, it's great. The Gene Beauvoir song, Feel the Heat, go listen to that song. It is a freaking banger. It's so good. But, yeah, this is one of Stallone's best movie soundtracks, hands down. So.
That's killer. Good pick, man. That was on my list, but I don't own the soundtrack at all.
I got a 7-inch single. I got a 7-inch single of the John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band song on there too.
That's awesome. I actually, after I posted that today and I knew we were doing the show, I was on eBay scouring the Cobra vinyl though. Pretty good price on it.
I got this about 10 or 11 years ago. So, I mean, I don't think I paid but maybe $15 for it. But then again, dude, that was before everybody and their grandma got back into vinyl.
I agree. So. I got a lot of stuff about 10 years ago, and I was able to kind of score things pretty cheap. And now it's a lot harder to find anything, especially, original pressings, because so many things are being re-released now that to get the original pressing is even harder,
Oh, very. And I'm not into 180 gram stuff. So I always try to get old original. I'm just like an old grumpy man with that. Like I'll get repressings if I just have to, but I always prefer to have that thin classic black vinyl, the original stuff every time.
Well, back to me, my next pick actually was just brought up. So I'm going to give props to who said it first, Blu-ray Addict and Holly Go Frightly, because I'm going to talk some Tough Turf with James Spader, Kim Richards in there. I mean, this is such a good movie. Robert Downey Jr. This is another one where I recommend if you guys haven't seen the movie. It's not one that everybody talks about, which I'm not sure if it's because they've never seen it, but it's one of my favorite movies. 80s kind of like revenge movie, and the soundtrack is so killer. The opening song that they have in that movie, I'm trying to think what it's called. Love Hates is the opening track, like when this movie starts, and it's such a killer song if you guys ever want to look it up. But yeah, great stuff. It's Too Late, Jim Carroll Band, who actually play a couple songs in the movie, so they're on this as well. A couple different songs here. You got Twist and Shout, Tough Turf, which is a song made for the movie, and other things like Voices, and just all around like front to back, great tunes on this one. And the movie's great too if you guys haven't checked it out. But are you guys a fan? Have you guys seen Tough Turf? And either of you guys?
I have. So. I want to rewatch it. I remember loving it. I might have saw Tough Turf, like, I don't know if I streamed it or whatever, but it was years ago. And I just remember I haven't thought about that movie literally this first time I'm thinking about this movie in a long time.
Well, Kino did the Blu-ray. I assume it's probably still available. I think so. It's definitely one to check out. But somebody's asking me, Brian's in the chat. Brian says, does it have the Spader track? I don't think it does, but I wish it did. James Spader sings a song in the movie on the piano, and it's so good. People are going to be like, it sucks, but I think it's so good. It doesn't say that on there. That would be so killer, though, if they had it.
Hell yeah, I can get the Blu-ray for $20.
Nice. Okay, so this is funny. Holly's a big fan of Tough Turf as well. She said, Tough Turf equals Karate Kid plus Footloose, but meaner.
Hell yeah.
That should be a t-shirt.
That's awesome. Let me see. Do we get to this? No, we haven't yet, but maybe we will. All right, Brandon, where you taking us, homie?
I'm going to go with 1981's Heavy Metal, the animated masterpiece. I almost saved that for the horror soundtracks because that movie sort of is horror-y, but I'll let it slide for this one. Sammy Hagar's Heavy Metal, Working in the Coal Mine by Devo, Oyster Cult's Veteran of the Psychic Wars, Taking a Ride by Don Felder, All of You by Don Felder. There's a bunch of Don Felder in that album. Radar Rider by Riggs, Reach Out by Cheap Trick. That soundtrack is so killer.
Mm-hmm.
That's another good one. That's like if you're coming home from like a vacation or you're driving home from a concert, that soundtrack is such a good chill soundtrack to drive home to, especially like All of You by Don Felder. That's the best night driving song of all time. It is the best one.
Yeah, that was on my list. I have the vinyl and I put it back. So I was like, I just have too much stuff here. Christian, I know you had mentioned it a little bit, maybe yesterday or something. Did that make your list tonight?
No, again, because I knew Brandon, we had a conversation about that maybe like a couple months ago, and I just knew he was going to bring it up. But I have so much regret not grabbing that vinyl yesterday for Heavy Metal.
Yeah, here's a question. Where were you yesterday when you were sending us that? Were you at a record store or a thrift store?
It's a record store. It's pretty world renowned. It's called Rick's Records. And I think I told Brandon this yesterday. I low key met Billy Corgan there.
Wow. When? Like not yesterday, was it?
Yeah.
What?
Yes. He wouldn't. I didn't take a picture with him or nothing. He's friends with the guy that runs his record store, and Billy Corgan was there, and he's friends with the guy. And this guy Rick, he's been in like the record selling business since like the 70s. He's an older guy. He has probably between 40 and 50,000 records in this place. I mean, you saw some of the rooms I was in. Those pictures. It's insane. And he actually doesn't charge bad prices. And I'm so pissed off at myself. You know about Back to the Future 2 that I showed you? I went on eBay today. The only original ones that are listed on eBay are like $150, and I know he wouldn't have charged me that. I gotta go back ASAP and just get over myself and get all those records. But
now were they expensive? Is that why? Just too many, too much? Like
the thing is, I had a lot of stuff I was planning on getting yesterday, and I got I needed to get songs from the Big Chair, Tears for Fears, so I got that. I got the 81 or 82 Asia record with those big hits on it. I got some records from the Tubes that I needed. So there was a lot of records, like bands that I knew I needed to get. And I wasn't planning on getting any soundtracks. I just happened to walk into the soundtrack room first, and I was like, Jesus Christ, he has everything here. This is killing me. There was one. Actually, I didn't even have this on my list, but there was one that I was looking for, Beyond Thunderdome, because I love the Tina Turner song, and I didn't see it. But
did you ever see that video with Capello in it and all that junk?
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, so good, man.
Well, he talked about Tina Turner at the show, his work with her and stuff, and it was awesome.
Yeah, you look her like concerts from back in the day, and you see Capello all over the place, jamming out on stage and stuff. It's super cool.
Yep.
But yeah, man, that's awesome. I don't have any like record stores here anymore. We had some in there, they're long gone now. So like, it's hard for me to find anything used anymore. Like I could go into like, I don't know, an FYE and maybe catch a couple of used LPs, but they're still charging an arm and a leg for them over there, So I don't have any stores like that. Thrift stores around here, you go to the vinyl section, there's like 3 vinyls. Like there's nothing here. So it's cool that you still have those kind of hanging around, because I have nowhere to go except eBay for these things.
Yeah, you got to get lucky, man, or just find like a spot. It's hard. And sometimes those damn flea markets will blow your mind.
Oh, I don't know. Miss 80 said they're going to send you something. What are you going to send?
I know.
Christian gets sent everything. What are you going to send him now?
If she's talking, Miss 80s, email me at christianhanna@ymail.com and we'll talk. I'm not going to let her give it to me for free, but I need that vinyl. If you've got it, Miss 80s, reach out to me. She is awesome. She was going to hook me up, like sell retail price. She wasn't going to rip me off or nothing. When I needed Freddie's Greatest Hits, that record with the bizarre music on it, she had a copy. She's like, hey, get with me, I'll sell it to you really fair. And I had already talked to a guy that hooked me up right before I got back to her email, and she was like, hey, no problem, just if you ever need something again, get with me. So email me, Miss 80s, christianhanna@ymail.com.
Yeah,
Get my
she
TXR on.
does great stuff over on her channel. A lot of 80s stuff, a lot of 80s music. We'll post a lot of soundtracks and stuff like that. Really cool. And
Yeah.
speaking of that, I know Christian recently just started a new little side channel. You want to promote that really quick?
Yeah, that's cool. I'm having a blast with it. It's given me. I'm not burnt out with Planet CHH or nothing. If anything, it's nice to do something, keep me a little bit busy with a break, and really with my wife being off for a week, it's given me some free time. So I got a new Audio Technica record player that I love. And Garrett, we need to get you set up with a good record player because I know you said you were kind of not expensive. I am good stuff at a cheap price. I'm cheap. I can tell you exactly what I got. But I started doing vinyl rips, and it's incredible how good records sound. It's incredible, the fidelity, and sometimes the mixes on the records are different than the stuff that was mixed on like the CDs, like because when they mixed stuff for vinyl back in the day, it was a different process than the way they mixed music for a CD or a cassette. And sometimes the record mixes are the best. I just did Tears for Fears. Everybody Wants to Rule the World on there. Just Radio CHH, look it up, and you'll hear the most amazing version. It's the same song, but it's beautiful. So I'm ripping every song I can think of from my record collection, and I'm having a blast with that. So it's just a side thing. I don't make a penny from it, obviously, because I don't own these songs, but it's really fun, and it gets people who aren't into vinyl collecting a chance to hear what vinyl records really sound like, because the mixes are sometimes different. So that's what that is.
So let me ask you this, because I do have a record player, and I was collecting for quite a while, but it broke, and it wasn't a good one. It was actually pretty cheap, and I had it running through like my surround sound speakers in my movie room. Like I didn't really have a great setup altogether. So that's why I kind of started selling a lot of my vinyls off, because I just wasn't listening to them anymore. I was buying them. They were still staying sealed. I was like, you know what? It's just another collection that I'm collecting and spending money on, but I'm not utilizing it because I have such a crappy setup. Now, I'm more or less concerned about, obviously I can buy a nice deck or whatever, but the speaker situation is my biggest concern, because I don't have a lot of space to have like a whole speaker setup. So is there is there a way to do it where it's like minimal space that I need to like have a speaker setup or anything like that?
I got you. Do you have a nice sound bar?
I don't have a sound bar on my TV. I just have ceiling speakers all around the room.
This is going to sound asinine to maybe some of the audiophile people listening to this, and I get it. My best bet to tell you, Garrett, would be make sure you get just a good record player with a full 12-inch platter. Don't get one of those damn Crossleys with a 7-inch platter where the record's doing this while it's spinning and your needles, that doesn't make. And those Crossleys are pretty cheap. The needle's really bad, but get a full 12-inch platter. A nice record, like the Audio Technica I got was $99 most of the time. Sometimes it's $150. It's got Bluetooth in it. You're gonna lose 5 or 10% of that fidelity, but if you have the Bluetooth capability, you can. I know you won't have any wires out or anything. As long as you got a good speaker with some nice low end and stuff, you can still get some pretty crushing tone from it. And then you still obviously have the ability to get speakers. Now, in terms of like what's kind of speakers to get, that might be a better question for Wes, honestly, because I know he's into that. But don't getting something with Bluetooth capability. It's not a crime. It's like have that in case you just want to no clutter and stuff like that.
Right. He says one bookshelf speaker. I could probably pull one off. I'd have to see like the size. Let me see. So she probably knows what she's talking about when it comes to this stuff.
She'd be great to talk to as well.
But yeah, I'm kind of curious about that, because that's my biggest thing. I'm looking around the room and like, where could I even have speakers set up here? Because it's almost like every inch of space is taken. And I do have my record player over there still sitting on a shelf. So I do have space for that to replace it with a better one. But then it just becomes, what do I do? What do I do with speakers?
I'm super happy with this player. This is the Audio Technica LPX60, I think. And it's fully automatic. You can press this button. It'll literally come up, right? You press this button, boom, the needle goes up, automatically goes right over for 12-inch, drops right down. There's also a knob right here. You can go from 12 to 7 inches. So if you swap it to a 7-inch and you hit start, it'll go up and automatically go over to where a 7-inch would be and drop it. It's got a good weight balance on it. So honestly, it gets rid of a lot of the, sometimes when the needle gets caught on like one of the grooves and it repeats like 3 seconds of music. I haven't had that problem once on this one yet. And I've got some scratchy, dirty records. This thing is, I think it's the best bang for your buck kind of player. So I love it.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely check it out because it's stupid that I have all this stuff and then, you know, it just sits on a shelf. Like, this is the first time I've taken these out. Like, even today when I was telling you I was going through all my albums, I'm like, I forget what I even own anymore. And like I said I did sell a lot off. So to see what I still have, I was like, oh, I forgot I had this still. So that's why it's kind of cool that we're doing this show because we can talk about it.
Yeah, but Miss 80s would probably be like a fantastic person to get like really good details. I don't know a whole lot, but she probably knows any kind of question. She can give you the left, front, right, and center of it.
Definitely. So I don't remember where we were at here. Who were we at? Did you just go, or did
Garrett? I think it's your turn, isn't it? No,
it could be.
Just go ahead. It's fine.
I'll throw it out there. Let me see.
Oh,
is that an original?
Oh yeah.
Dude, that's got to be fairly rare. That was 1990.
Yeah, it's a 1990. But you know, it's got the MC Hammer. This is what we do it.
Killer song.
Do it. Yeah.
Spin that wheel.
That's a good one. Yeah, spin that wheel. Yeah, it's got that right there. You got Partners in Crime with that turtle power. That one used to confuse me all the time because it would say like the Raphael's the leader, and I was like, no, he's not. Like, I remember as a kid, I was like, they don't know what they're talking about. But yeah, this was a really cool, album. But I don't know if this has like the score for this movie is so freaking good too. Like, it's so good, man. And I don't know if it has any of those on here, but I do have the Waxwork Records score as well because that's such an awesome one to get. But yeah, this is the original soundtrack. I don't, like you said, I've had this a long time.
Dude,
I don't know.
The last 4 tracks should be score. Yeah.
Like, Garrett, I don't know. You probably are aware, dude. Like, 1990 was like really the cutoff for vinyl pressings in a big way in America. Like, there are certain records that came out on vinyl and others that didn't. Like, Iggy Pop's Brick by Brick came out, and like that's one of the last like big rock records I can think of that really got a vinyl press. A lot of the record companies really started moving on to cassettes and CDs fully. So, dude, like the fact that you have that's got to be pretty damn rare. You know,
interesting. I'll have to look it up because I had no idea. I've had it a very long time. And you're right there. The last couple do say score on there. So I don't know what songs they are though. But there's some great tunes in that.
Yeah, that song 9.95 is killer.
I'll have to if I get a nice setup, I'll have to play it again, or I can just YouTube the soundtrack.
And then you got I'll teach you how to rip it, dude. Then you can put this on. You can do a vinyl rip so people can enjoy how the record sounds too.
There you go. Hell yeah,
killer. But
I like turtles.
Darby Allin. I can't believe that was him.
It looks just like
good zombieing.
Yeah, great zombie. Yeah, Jason, I heard that. I don't have a lot of it says the tail end hairbands were really hard to find. I don't have a ton of those on vinyl. I have some, but like you said, like I've even tried to get like that Winger album, the Warrant album that came out in '90, and it's expensive. Man,
Cherry Pie. Yeah.
No, not that one. What's the other one? It must have came out a couple years later. The last really
Dog Eat Dog.
Yeah, I've tried to get that on vinyl, and it's like really pricey.
Yeah, and I think that might even be like UK pressings too, because they kind of hung on a little bit. Like my Freddie's Dead, that's a very rare record that I have, and it's very expensive because it was not pressed in America. It was in London they got pressed. So, dude, yeah, some of that stuff is crazy expensive. I could go into a rabbit hole of that, though, because I'm fascinated by records around 90, 91. Dude.
Now, I don't know a lot about reprints and repressings of these albums, but there's a lot of those big albums, like from that big hairband guy, that I just never owned, especially on vinyl. And Revolver keeps posting all over the place. They're putting out like the box sets for all these, and I'm like, I always put them in my cart, but they're expensive. Like they did, I think they did Dawkins box set where it comes in a nice box and all the albums are in there. And but it's like $200 almost. No. They did Motley Crue, they did this whole thing, and I'm like, oh my god, I would love to get that. But again, I don't know how hard it would be to just track all those down originals singly, you know?
Yeah, it'd just be so much more fun, dude, to throw on an original, you know, Theater of Pain. Like, just wait for them, man, and just get lucky. You know, buying those ridiculously priced box sets, to me, it just takes all the fun out of it. Every last drop of fun out of it. You're going to feel like you need to listen to those things a lot to get your money's worth out of it.
Yeah,
You know
because
what I
they're
mean?
about $200 a piece, but they do come with a bunch of They did that one. They did Duckin', Motley Crue. There was somebody else that they did, and I was like about to. Oh, Rat. They just did a Rat one.
Yeah.
But
if I had to get one, I'd get the Rat one.
I do have a couple Rat albums on vinyl, but
Me too.
All right. Did I just do Turtles? Is it Brandon now?
I think so.
Okay,
is it my turn? Christian, did I cut you off?
Go ahead. You're fine, Brandon.
Okay.
Just go.
I can start
doing 2 at a time. That way we can rock and roll after this.
I'm going to go with the soundtrack to Empire Records.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's a pretty good soundtrack to a pretty good movie. You know, Till I Hear It From You by the Gin Blossoms. You had that song Free by the Martinis. I Don't Want to Live Today by Ape Hangers. You had Here It Comes Again. You had Sugar High. There was some great stuff on that record. You know what I mean? Some really, really good stuff.
You're on a big Empire Records kick lately, aren't you?
I am, yeah. We just had Rex Manning Day go by. I did the review, and I'm still kind of stuck on that stuff. So this is perfect timing.
Dude, Liv Tyler is so smoking hot in that movie. She is of age in that movie, though, right? Otherwise, I sound creepy.
I think so. Was she not of age when she did the Aerosmith videos? Because that had to have been after that, right?
I don't know.
What's weird about the soundtrack, real quick, and I'll shut up about it, is I could have sworn that song Sponge, or not Sponge, is it called Sponge? It's that Sponge's, what's Sponge's most popular song?
Yeah, it's When I Wake Up the Tree.
Yeah, I could have sworn, I love that fucking song, but I could have sworn that song was in this movie, and I guess it's not. It's not in the soundtrack. It's not in the movie the last time I watched it. I'm like, what the hell? I could have sworn on VHS days that song was in the movie.
What was the big hit off of that one?
Dude, that song is so fucking good.
Cloud, yeah, it's probably like the most 90s song ever to me. Like that encapsulates. Yes, that is the 90s song to me, I think.
Dude, that song is so good.
I could have sworn that was in the scene where the kids playing around the record store, like playing the music. I thought that was the song, but I guess not. So.
Oh wait, somebody says it's in the montage scene as he's getting ready for the big show and party.
Okay, so it is in the movie. I don't remember seeing that when I watched the Blu-ray like a week or two ago.
You know what?
It's not on the
That's
soundtrack.
been on my cart. The Blu-ray's been on my cart. I have the DVD. I wonder if they pulled that song.
Maybe, or maybe I'm just fucking retarded. I don't know. I remember thinking, where the hell is that song? Because I remember that song being there. So if it's there, it's there. Good. Maybe I'm just having a fucking brain fart.
But it's not on the soundtrack, you're saying, either, though?
I don't think it's on the official release. No.
Brandon makes me laugh so much. You're like, all right, Brandon, your pick. All right, my pick's Empire Records. I'll say one thing, then I'll shut up about it.
Yeah, but that's a good call on it back. Was that Sponge? Remember that album with like the candy corn all over it?
Oh
hell yeah.
That is
so
such
good.
a good song. Such a good song.
Let me see. All right, Christian.
Secret of My Success.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Now there's something bizarre. I guarantee you Miss 80s knows what I'm going to say. In the movie Secret of My Success, there is a song that it's called, in the movie, the lyrics are something I've got to do. And it's this beautiful song. Like montaging when he sees the girl for the first time. But on the record, it came out as a song called Don't Ask the Reasons Why. And it's the same song, but it's a different singer and the lyrics are different. The movie version, and this is the biggest mystery, nobody's ever found the master for that movie version of this song. It's never been released, but if you watch Secret of My Success, go look up the song Don't Ask the Reasons Why by Restless Heart. It's a great song, but the movie, it's a different singer and different lyrics, completely different lyrics. And the movie version is even better. Nobody has any idea where the master is for that version. It's never been released as far as anybody knows. But regardless, it's just a really weird thing that happened. But the soundtrack is great. And this introduced me to Night Ranger. And I've since become a diehard Night Ranger fan. I have every record that band ever put out. Great movie, great soundtrack. And I know it's original score in here as well. But the stuff David Foster did is probably some of his best work I think he's ever done in Secret of My Success. So this is a 10 out of 10 soundtrack.
Yeah. And movie, I think it's right up there too as a
it's fantastic.
Such a great movie. And it's funny that you bring that up about the song being different in the movie that it is on the soundtrack, because that's the same way on the Karate Kid soundtrack. Is that song Feel the Night when they were at the golf and stuff. The movie version is different than the version on the album. The version in the movie has a guy and a girl singer. And when you get the album, it's just the guy singing through. They don't have the female part, which was always just kind of mind-blowing to me. And it's actually hard to find, even on YouTube, the version with the female vocals. So it's interesting that you said that, because that kind of made me think of that as well. I was always so confused about that.
Yep.
But no, great pick, Secret of My Success. Great Michael J. Fox, like one of his best, in my opinion.
It is probably the most 80s movie I think I've ever seen. But it's hysterical. It's hysterical, and it's like, I mean, I wasn't around, but it's not hard to tell that Michael J. Fox like defined, you know, what the heart, like what a teen heartthrob was, you know, like he was everything, you know, and it was so crazy. He wasn't tall. He wasn't muscular. He was a small dude, but he had this 8-foot charisma to him that was just, God bless him. I'm glad he's still around. I know he's fighting Parkinson's, but you know.
Do you ever wonder, I always wonder this, like what, if he didn't get sick, what do you think he'd be right now? Do you think he'd be like in the level of like a DiCaprio, or like still a huge star doing like these roles, like, or do you think that he would have faded away?
It's difficult to say, right? Because when you look at what happened to him, he made some bad decisions in the 90s, clearly. He did a movie called For Love or Money, which literally nobody watched, although I like it. And then I read his book. Like, Doc Hollywood needed to at least break even for him to get more work, because his career was really that bad off in the ruts. And when Doc Hollywood, holy shit, that talk about a soundtrack, Chesney Hawkes, I am the one and only. That song is amazing in Doc Hollywood. That's a great soundtrack. But when Doc Hollywood broke even, like, to him, that was just like a major breakthrough for his career. Because For Love or Money tanked so hard. It was one of the world record tanks in movie history. And then he pivoted and did TV and did Spin City. So I don't know. I think he would have hung around. I think he's too likable. I think he's one of those guys that would be grandfathered into Hollywood. He could make a bunch of blunders and people would still love to see him no matter what. And he did Back to the Future. That's like being Michael Jackson. You're just never going to not be famous. You know, even if Michael Jackson started writing terrible music, he did Thriller. You know, Back to the Future is the Thriller of the movies to me. You know what I mean? So I think he would have been fine.
Now, you bring that up is interesting, because I never read the book, so you're bringing up a lot of good points. And I know you and I have talked in the past about doing a full Michael J. Fox retrospective show. We just never have gotten to it because we're both such big fans. So, yeah, I had no idea that there was movies that he made that didn't go well for him. Like, was there a string of them, or was it just that one that kind of tanked? And you said Doc Hollywood was like the make or break after that. Like, because I'm thinking of movies like The Hard Way. Like, was that a success or no?
Not a big one. And it's interesting. Everything James Woods touches to me is amazing, but none of it makes money. You know what I mean? He's one of my favorite actors. Vampires. He makes Vampires such a badass John Carpenter film. Broke even in America, barely. I mean, that movie's hysterical, but no, it was not a smash success. It was not. And I don't think he had a great time working with James Woods, if memory serves.
I would love to dig deeper into his catalog and talk about each one, because there were a string of movies over there that I never knew if they were successful or not. It just kind of passed me by. I think it was just, I was at an age where I was just doing other things. Like, You know, even like the one he did with Kiefer Sutherland. Like, I mean, I know it now, but I mean, I don't remember seeing that when it first came out.
Yeah.
Bright Lights, Big City, and all that. I don't know if that was considered a hit or not.
I think it was relatively. I mean, the thing you got to remember too is how successful Michael was in the 80s, and then to really do movies like he did a movie where he finds this little girl and makes her like this cookie star. Life with Mikey.
Yeah.
These movies were nothing burgers compared to what he was doing. I mean, it was insane how much, you know, the box office numbers were different from the days of hell, even Light of Day, which God knows that's got to be on your list, Garrett. I mean, I know you love.
It's not on my list, but I mean, it is one that's got great music, and it needs a physical media release. I mean, it hasn't seen anything since VHS. It's wild that's not.
Yeah,
nobody's touched that, and who knows if it has to do with music or not. But it's just sad to see a Michael J. Fox movie that's still sitting on like VHS.
Yeah. But no, the 90s weren't as kind to him. And but I think he would have been fine.
Yeah. Well, you know, since we're talking about it, I might as well just bring out Back to the Future as my next pick, because I mean, the album is killer. We know it. Power of Love. You got Back to the Future. You got the Back in Time. So another one that Johnny Be Good. It's just a great album here. So Back to the Future, since we were talking about Michael J. Fox, I'll just throw it out there, and there's not much more I can say about it. It's great. The movie's probably my favorite movie of all time, and we'll just keep this thing rolling because I still have quite a bit left on my stack here. So let's get to Brandon here and see what he's got coming up.
Shrek.
I'm gonna go with sure. Shrek 4, actually. I'm gonna go with
Smash Mouth
1994's Pulp Fiction.
All right.
Damn it! I almost brought my cassette out for that.
That's a killer soundtrack, man. Jungle Boogie, Let's Stay Together, You Never Can Tell, Flowers on the Wall, Surf Rider, Bustin' Surfboards. That soundtrack is so good. That's another one of those records that you could put on while you're eating breakfast, busy work, around the house, background music, whatever you want to do. If it involves food, especially,
But you cooking breakfast.
That's a good pick, man.
Good pick.
I know a lot of people. I saw a couple people bring that up today, so obviously it's pretty well rounded as far as what people like. So,
yeah, it's fantastic.
Let's see what Radio CHH has going on right now.
I'll crush through 3 of them. That way we can. St. Elmo's Fire, for God's sake.
Damn.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That main theme song, whatever that song is. Who sings that? I can't remember the guy's name. John Parr. God damn.
Great song.
Fee Waybill does a song on here, and I'm a gigantic fan of him. He's the singer for the Tubes, and I'm like obsessed with the Tubes. They're one of my favorite bands now, and great. So there we got that. Honestly, God's honest truth, Ghostbusters has a phenomenal soundtrack, and I'm not just talking about Bray Parker Jr. The Bus Boys. Let me tell you sorry about a little song I know.
Oh.
Dude, I mean, it's got a great soundtrack, and there's great ballads on here too by Air Supply. I Can't Wait Forever, but you don't really hear them that well in the movie. But phenomenal soundtrack. I love the Ghostbusters soundtrack.
What's the big hit? There's one on here that I absolutely just love, and it's so funny because in the movie it's so badass, but when you get to, it took me forever and a day to find that song in the soundtrack because it doesn't sound anything like it does in the movie, and it's called Magic. Do you know that song where it's like breathe,
Mickey? Yeah, I listened to this while I was pulling out my records, and I know
it's so crazy because that song, if you listen to it, if anybody hasn't listened to the song Magic, it starts out so different. So for the longest time, I was searching for that song. I didn't know the name of it, and I'm listening to the beginning of all the songs. I'm like, no, it's not this, it's not this, it's not this. But like just in the middle of that song, it's that whole part that they play in the movie, and it sounds nothing like that. The rest of that song, and even the other ones like Saving the Day is such a great song too.
It's a great soundtrack. I just need people to realize it's not just the Ray Parker theme. It really, if you get the soundtrack and spin it, you can be like, oh my God, this is like great music. It's carpet music in the movie because the movie's so good. Like you know, Blu-ray addict. Come on, believe. Come on, you killing me.
You ain't addicted to Blu-rays. You haven't seen Ghostbusters. No, Ghostbusters 2 is another good one as well.
Well, I was gonna say Now I saw the score. I regret it already because I was showing Garrett like as I was there, probably making everybody jealous. But I have the 12-inch single of the On My Own, and I just figured, you know what? Like I was in the store pulling my phone up, looking up some of the tracks, and be like, do I like that song? And so I decided to I'm fine with this. As a matter of fact, I like this cover art better because it's yellowish. And it's got Bobby Brown on the back. Great shot.
I didn't even know that existed, man.
Yeah,
I had no idea that was a thing.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure he has cocaine in his pocket while he took this picture. So,
but that's a great picture because it resembles the "Don't Be Cruel" album, but just like an older version of him. That's I want to find that.
Yeah. So I'm always a bigger fan of 12-inch singles instead of 7-inch singles. I just like the look of the record, right? I like the look of the full record on the platter. So. Yeah, I got that, and I'll crank through this one really quick, and then my last batch is all like my favorites of all time. If anybody, Miss 80s, have you guys seen Rhinestone?
I've never seen the movie. I've never seen it.
The soundtrack is hysterical. You have got, listen to me, Garrett.
Stallone and Parton, right? Is that what it is?
Stallone sings the songs in here, and Dolly Parton. You need to listen to Drinkenstein. That Sylvester Stallone sings. It is the most hysterical thing you'll ever hear in your life. Google it. I'll make sure I send you a link. Rhinestone is one of the worst movies ever made, and I freaking love it. It is. He famously turned down Romancing the Stone to do this movie. Big mistake, right? But I love this movie. So it's terrible, but the soundtrack is so ridiculous. But listen to Drinkenstein. You'll cry laughing. So that's my other pick. I love that. And then I'll save the rest for another batch.
Do you know anybody that drinks a lot? That's what you can start calling them.
Drinkenstein. Budweiser, you created a monster. It's hysterical, dude.
Wow, people are actually giving this some credit. I think Jason's talking about that too. It's the best. Miss 80s has that. I've never even seen the movie, let alone listen to the soundtrack.
Yeah. See what
now is that movie on any physical release, or is it stuck on an old format?
It might be stuck. I got a DVD when Amazon was still pressing DVDs for you if you wanted it. Or not pressing. I guess they're burned copies, but like, you could like, do they still do that?
Create Space shut down, unfortunately.
Yeah, my grandma got me the DVD and she's like, oh, Amazon does this thing. If you want a movie, they'll just press it for you. Dude, it's so funny. It's such a funny movie. But the soundtrack's great. And Dolly is smoking hot. In Rhinestone, smoking hot. Them big old boobs she's got, dude. It's incredible.
Did Stallone ever get with her or no?
I think he did.
Yeah,
I think he did. I really do. You can tell they want to bang each other in the movie all day.
Oh, that's so funny. All right, this one I'll throw up there. There's nothing like memorable as far as the songs like that people would know, but it's just front to back a real cool. I fucking love this movie, man. It's all 80s style, like kind of hair bands. A lot of female vocalists on these ones, but I guarantee if you guys listen to this thing, you can probably find it on YouTube or something. But it is just front to back, just really, really good. Like John Farnham's on here too, so he always does a good job. But yeah, I would say this is definitely one of you guys to check out. Some of the songs on here are friggin' bangers. So Savage Streets.
If I would have saw that yesterday, zero chance I would have put it down. Zero chance.
Oh, it's great.
I would have got that. That's awesome.
Oh, Shauna brings up Big Chill. Yeah, that's one of those ones that it's such a classic. I mean, I have that vinyl and I was going to bring it to the table, but I did not.
All right, Brandon, you got any mini discs over there you can bring up for your next pick?
I do not, unfortunately, but I do have my next pick, which is Judgment Night. I was maybe going to save that for the horror show because I sort of consider that movie more of a suspense thriller, but I was like, whatever, I'll just do it here. But that soundtrack's awesome, man. Like, listen to this, Just Another Victim by Helmet and House of Pain.
Helmet's great, dude.
Yeah. Judgment Night, which was the Biohazard and Onyx track. You had Another Body Murdered by Faith No More and Booyah Tribe. That whole soundtrack is awesome. The I Love You Mary Jane song by Sonic Youth and Cypress Hill. And you had The Real Thing, which was Pearl Jam and Cypress Hill. Like every time I go back to that soundtrack, I forget how much that soundtrack kicks ass.
Yeah.
Like it's such what a weird combination of styles of music too, especially for back then. That was 93. This is such a weird, what a weird era, man.
Yeah.
That movie's great. The soundtrack's great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sure is. That was a popular one back then too. It was the one that everybody was talking about, you know, and along the same lines as things like The Crow and all that. Like people were really digging that soundtrack as well. So it's been a long time since I've listened to it, but it was definitely in my Walkman as a kid for sure.
Yeah, it transcends the movie because there's a lot of people I know who fucking hate that movie, but they love the soundtrack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love the movie and the soundtrack, but there's a lot of people who are like, oh, the soundtrack's awesome, but the movie's not good. I'm like, okay.
It's a suspenseful movie, I always thought.
It's great. I love it.
Does that have a Blu-ray release? I only have it on DVD.
It does. It looks pretty good too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very
It's
nice.
I think it's a Shout Select. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, you know what?
The
I actually might have it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it has like a yellow cover or something like that, yellow font or something weird like that.
I think I probably have it.
Shout Select did the Burbs right. Like they did a good release for the Burbs.
They did.
That's a soundtrack I'd get if I saw it too. The Burbs.
I have the score from Waxwork, but I don't have the original soundtrack. But that's definitely a good one for sure. Now, I wonder if it has an actual soundtrack. Do you guys know?
I'm sure it does.
Because again, that was 89, so kind of tail end of vinyl, but
I'm sure it does.
All right, what are you gonna slap on us, Christian?
I mean, do you want me to knock out a couple in a row?
I mean, if you've got a lot left, sure. I've got probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over here, and then I have like a list of some that I didn't have.
Okay, I have 6 left, so I'll do 2 next. Then I'll do 2.
Okay.
Cliche. I'm kind of surprised nobody said it yet, but I do love the Rocky IV soundtrack.
So good.
Again, my favorite song is not actually it's not the Robert Tepper song. I think The Sweetest Victory from Touch is a classic on here, but you don't really get a whole lot of it in the movie. I think maybe not even at all. And as a matter of fact, you get a really great John Cafferty, Hearts on Fire, which if I need to go running and I had a horrible day, I get off my ass as soon as I hear that. It just kills me. And I don't know if the Kenny Loggins song is on here, actually. Yeah, it is. Double or Nothing. It's a great little chill Kenny Loggins song on Rocky IV, which is great. And to top it all off, you get the training montage at the end from Vince DiCola, which
so good, man.
I hate to be that guy. But I actually think that the soundtrack for this one, the original stuff that Vince DiCola did, I like it more than the Bill Conti stuff.
Oh, I was gonna say I like it better too.
It's maybe it's more 80s and that's my vibe, but I think Vince DiCola just made one of the most intense. Yeah, it's funny because I told my uncle I was doing the show tonight, and he was telling me, like, we were talking about soundtracks, and he was telling me about in the Chalmette Theater when the music was hitting while the fight. He said people in the theater. I would have loved to experience this. I got goosebumps while he's telling me. He was like, when that montage hit, people just started standing up during the fight. It's a movie. It's not a real boxing match, but he said the theater, everybody was standing up watching the fight because they were that invested in it. And it just blows my mind, like, to experience that. That's how much of a stranglehold that soundtrack, I think, had on people. It got them so amped up. So awesome. I think Rocky IV is probably one of the greatest 80s soundtracks ever because it motivates you. It gets you off your ass, you know.
Now, do you own the Rocky Story compilation? She's asking. I don't even know. I don't know what it is.
I don't think so, Mercedes. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe I know, but it's not ringing a bell right now. So. And I'll do my other one. This is going to be the weirdest pick of the night for me. I've never seen this movie in my life, but I'm a really big fan of Joe Lamont. You know, Joe Lamont did songs. He has a great record out from '85 I've been trying to find. I haven't found it yet. He did Flesh to Flesh in Return of the Living Dead 2, which is a classic. So I love Joe Lamont. And so I saw that he did a song in a movie called Heavenly Bodies. And my jaw hit the floor when I saw this soundtrack yesterday, because this soundtrack is one of the most emotionally gripping soundtracks I've ever heard in my life. Every song makes you want to just tear your heart out. It's like every song is this like main event ballad, intense emotional track. And the Joe Lamont song Love Always Wins, I actually ripped it and I put it on Radio CHH for people to check out, and it just makes you cry. The whole soundtrack is so beautiful. And there's something about this that I love the music so much. I almost never want to see the movie because I've got this idea what this movie is, but at the same time, it is lost on physical media, and that's a travesty because this music is so amazing. There is the other part of me. It's like, I've got to see it in context of whatever movie this is. This movie has to be good because the music will just grip you and make you cry. It's beautiful music. So I my jaw hit the floor seeing this yesterday. So I haven't seen it, but Heavenly Bodies is in my top 5 soundtracks in the world. It's so good. And it's all bands. And as a matter of fact, Fee Waybill with the Tubes has a song on here called Out of Control. So fantastic soundtrack. Go out of your way to check out that Joe Lamont song I ripped. It'll just make you tear up. It's so good.
That's cool, man. I haven't seen that movie in forever, since probably VHS days. As far as the soundtrack, I don't remember it at all, but you're right. That thing needs some kind of upgrade, and who knows why it hasn't yet, but it seems like something, that we'd see from Kino or something like that. So I don't know what the story is with Heavenly Bodies.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So, let me see. All right. I'm going to save my best for last, I think. So, but this one is another banger from back in the day. I listened to this a lot as a kid, and it was the Cocktail. Soundtrack.
Nice.
I love this movie. I really, really love this movie. Tom Cruise, to me, people give him a lot of shit, but I'm a big fan. I think everything he touches is good from back in the day. And even now, a lot of the movies that he's doing now are really, really good. Obviously, with Elizabeth Shue being in this, I was a huge fan of this growing up. And this album was so huge as a kid. We literally, my bus driver, when I was in elementary school, used to play this soundtrack day in and day out. It felt like for a whole year. Because, you had things like Kokomo, obviously. And what's the other one? Tutti Frutti was on here and stuff. So front to back, this is such a great album. Don't Worry, Be Happy. These were such big hits back in the day. I don't even remember if this was late 88. So 88, this is when this came out. So very cool. If you guys haven't heard the soundtrack, definitely want to check out.
Makes me want to get it.
Oh, it's a good one, man. All right, Brandon.
He's adjusting.
Where we going, baby?
I'm going to go with the soundtrack to Boys in the Hood.
Woo!
Yeah.
Bringing out that thug life, baby.
Fantastic soundtrack. How to Survive in South Central by Ice Cube is fucking awesome. Growing Up in the Hood by Compton's Most Wanted is fantastic. Two Live Crew's Hanging Out. Too Young by High Five. It's insane. That's a great soundtrack. And the 14th track, which is it's an orchestral piece by the guy who did the score. It's just hands down. It's such a good it's a really underrated piece of music, I think. And the whole soundtrack is good. Kick-ass movie, kick-ass soundtrack.
Great movie, man. This is Ben Grimm brings it up again. I gotta get this movie, man. CB4, he says.
I've never seen it.
Man, I gotta get that. Simon says. Simon says, I was in an elevator with Tom Cruise and I told him I was a big fan of the movie Bartender, and he said it actually was called Content. He must have loved that. Hey,
I bet Tom was actually really nice, probably, to him.
Probably was. Except when he got mad at everybody on Maverick set or whatever. But,
oh, dude.
It's understandable. People are like, oh, he's crazy. I'm like, bro, he's still making these big movies. Like he's trying to do his job here.
Dude, he flipped this lunch tray instead of Maverick.
he pulled a Christian Bale on that one. And when Christian Bale flipped out, what movie was that on? Terminator?
Yeah, Salvation.
Oh my god, that was so
he
funny.
Fucking went nuts on that set.
I love that movie.
Freaking Christian Bale. Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
That's so funny. All right, Christian, where we going? We're at 90 minutes right now. Let's see if we can clean this up soon.
All right, I'll do 2 more, and then my last round will be my number 1 favorite soundtrack ever. Speaking of Michael J. Fox, Bright Lights Big City has a really good score. And there's actually a great Prince song in here called Good Love, but you've got New Order, Narada, Depeche Mode is in here. This is a great movie. It's actually, I always say that Bright Lights Big City feels like it would have been like a Criterion label movie, because it's really like one of those just movies about a human being's life when things aren't going his way. And there's really not a plot to Bright Lights Big City. It's just about Michael J. Fox and his life. He's lost this girl that he loved, and his life is just spiraling. Every day his life is spiraling worse and worse. And it's one of those really great movies. But the soundtrack is fantastic. So definitely check that out if you haven't listened to the soundtrack. And one of my favorite soundtracks of all time is Bloodsport. Stan Bush's music. Every time I hear it On My Own Alone, that's one of the most amazing songs I've ever heard, and it defines the movie. The original stuff by Paul Herzog is great, but the Stan Bush music in here and Fight to Survive, I mean, it made this movie. I think without a good score, this movie would have been like wonky in a little way, in some ways, but everything about the score to Bloodsport is so impressive to me. And Stan Bush, if you see Stan Bush in any involvement in a movie, you best believe that the music's going to motivate the hell out of you, because that's all Stan Bush does, whether it's Transformers or what have you. All his music just gets you up and at 'em. So Bloodsport is my second favorite soundtrack of all time.
Man, I'm so jealous of that edition because I passed on that twice.
Go get it.
First time I passed on it because I was like, I'm kind of done collecting scores, and then I was going to meet Bolo. So I was like, you know what, maybe I'll get that and have him sign it. And then I was like, maybe I'll do a poster instead. And then when you told me yesterday that actually has the actual music on it,
yeah,
I was like, what? Like, I need to get it. So I went online today to get it, and I feel like I can't find it for a good price. It's like $60 plus everywhere I look.
I got it from Waxwork themselves.
Recently?
I ordered it last week.
Oh, shit. Maybe it was like showing me Walmart and all this stuff. I didn't even look at the Waxwork side. I assumed it was out of print after I saw those prices.
No, dude, go get it. It's $35. And it's a beautiful gatefold.
Oh, the images inside are ridiculous. That's why I wanted to get it for Bolo, because there's a great image in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one. So nice.
It's the greatest movie villain in history.
So good.
Yeah, but it's got Fight to Survive and On My Own Alone. And dude, it sounds really good. I ripped On My Own Alone, and dude, it sounds so pristine. Waxwork actually did a really good job. I think they probably got the master tapes for all that stuff, because it sounds phenomenal. So,
that's sick. What a great pick, man. But I'm gonna try to pick that one up for sure. I'm gonna do 2, and then my last 2 are like 2 of my favorites, and I'll do those at the end. But these ones I'm gonna do together because they're a little more current. Fantastic. I'm sure everybody knows the Drive soundtrack is so good. It's what got me introduced to synthwave when this thing came out. So like when Night Call hit, it was the first time I really was introduced to synthwave, and I've been on a roller coaster ride, like digging really deep into that synth. So whenever, I don't even remember when this movie came out, but it was back then, ever since it came out, I was really heavy into synthwave music. And then another one that's very similar is The Guest, which also has a pretty killer soundtrack as well. Very similar to Drive. It's got a lot of like those synthwave type of songs on it. So I figured those are a little more current, so I'll throw them out there now. How about you guys? If fans are either of those?
Massive fan of The Guest.
Good.
Oh, you said massive fan of The Guest. Have you heard the soundtrack, Christian? Or from just the movie, you probably remember it, right?
Yeah. I need that. I would definitely spin The Guest regularly. Drive is awesome too, but between the two, like I got more excited when you showed The Guest for sure.
But they kind of go together for me. They're very similar in tone, those two movies, aesthetically and stuff. So if anybody in the chat has not heard either of those, maybe because they're a little more modern, but such great soundtracks front to back. That's a good one too. All right, Brandon, where we going, baby?
I really only have 2 left in my list, so I'll just go through them both right now if you want.
Yeah.
The first is Wayne's World 2, which I talked about earlier. Love that soundtrack. Frankenstein by Edgar Winter kicks ass. I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett's awesome. Radar Love, Spirit in the Sky, And I think my favorite track on the album is the live version of "Shut Up and Dance" by
I was
Aerosmith.
going to ask if that was on there. Yeah,
I think I like that version better than the version on "Get a Grip." I think it sounds better than the actual studio version.
That's the greatest
live
Aerosmith record, by the way.
I think
dude,
mine's "Permanent Vacation," but
great record.
I can see "Get a Grip" too. I had both those on cassette way back in the day.
Mm.
But the live version of "Do Dress Like a Lady's" on there too, and that's pretty good, damn good song too.
Is that song about Vince Neil? Is that what the story is? Where Steven Tyler saw Vince Neil getting off of an elevator and looked at him from behind and thought it was a broad?
I don't know.
I think it is.
Is that verified?
Miss 80s, verify that. Because my uncle was talking to me about that today. Because we were talking about how shitty Motley Crue is. And he was like, you know that song, it is the best. I mean, Brandon doesn't know what he's talking about. Get a Grip has some of the Brandon, Get a Grip. Really quick. I'm sorry, Garrett. Get a Grip told the grunge era to go fuck itself. In 1993, Aerosmith put out one of the most, and guess what? They self-produced it themselves. There's no Desmond Child or no involvement. Get a Grip is completely self-produced by the band.
I just think that Permanent Vacation was ahead of its time as well, though. In '87,
it's a great record. But see, I like Pump more than Janie's Got a Gun is like I like Pump more than Permanent Vacation. You need to try again. Quite frankly, Brandon.
I mean, Get a Grip was the pinnacle. It came out of like
that era.
It's just sad.
I agree.
It's sad.
Yeah. I remember getting that tape for Christmas one year. I got Get a Grip, and it was like I was so obsessed with it, and such a fun cover too, like of that album.
Now,
Garrett,
there was a time I wanted to try to see if because I was like 93. I doubt this has a vinyl from back in the day. I don't want to say third world countries, but in different countries across the country, there were some countries that vinyl was still like the way that they hadn't moved on to technology. And I remember seeing a 1993 Get a Grip vinyl from, I forgot what country it was, but it was not America. It might have been like Brazil or something. And dude, it was the only one I'd ever seen online before on eBay. They wanted like $700 for it.
But that's got to be re-released now.
Yeah,
though, right?
I'm sure.
Yeah,
and I definitely get a repress because there's a certain point where you just don't spend that kind of money on these old vinyls.
Like I'm sure if you went through the Walmart album records, you'd find it.
I looked for it today. I was just I said, let me stop by the record store. I mean, stop by Walmart. I had to get some cables and stuff for the house. Let me just look by the records. And yeah, I need to get Back to the Future. And I saw you had the Walmart one, which I was like, I probably should grab that, but I didn't see it. But I always look for those big time records because I remember I got 1984 from Van Halen from Walmart.
Do you guys think Get a Grip was the last really good Aerosmith album? Because I liked Nine Lives when it came out, but it's not. I don't like every song. Unlike Get a Grip, but that's when Aerosmith started to really change. I think into more of that poppy.
Yeah, the last album I bought was that Big Ones. Was the last album from them I ever bought, which is basically a greatest hits, and maybe had a couple originals on there, but that's the last Aerosmith album I have.
All I'm saying, Brandon, is the chat has spoken. Get a Grip is Aerosmith at hitting the highest plateau ever. Amazing. Da, 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 na, 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 na. The composition of that song. What is that song? The name of it? It starts the record, doesn't it?
Crying. Oh, no.
I was crying.
Yeah,
when
crying.
I met that song. Yeah. Come on, Brandon.
I fucking hate that song. Just
You're an idiot. You're a jackass, Brandon.
Everybody in the chat's wrong. Anyways,
Permanent Vacation is great. I'm sorry.
It is. No, so is Get a Grip. My last choice is going to be The Breakfast Club. I'm surprised we haven't said that yet.
I got it right here. So
okay, yeah, excellent. Yeah. Hey. We Are Not Alone, Fire in the Twilight. Don't Forget About Me, obviously. Waiting. But I do think I think We Are Not Alone is probably the album's best song. That and Fire in the Twilight. Those two songs are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like Don't You Forget About Me is a classic. I get it, but We Are Not Alone is amazing. So is Fire in the Twilight. So that's my last pick of the night.
Very nice.
That's my whole list.
Super cool, man. Those are great picks, man. Overall, and it pretty much it's all ones we're familiar with too. So there hasn't really been too many that were like, oh, we've never heard that, which is cool because we're all kind of on the same page with these. So what do you got, Christian? What's your last couple you got going on over there?
I got one left. This is my all-time favorite movie soundtrack ever, and it's one of the worst movies ever made. I'm
Oh
not
boy.
kidding. No, but the soundtrack, somebody's going to agree with me in the chat. This soundtrack is fucking incredible. Not good, incredible. My favorite soundtrack of all time is Caddyshack 2.
Wow, that was a pull. That was a deep pull on that one.
Now, it's got my favorite Kenny Loggins song of all time, Nobody's Fool. It has one of the best Earth, Wind, and Fire songs I've ever heard in my entire life. Turn on the beatbox. If you haven't listened to it before, listen to it. It will put the biggest smile on your face. And some of these songs are absolutely to die for. There's a song called I Run. Let me see the artist, because I was listening to this today. Warren. Her name is Warren. I forgot her first name. It doesn't have it on here, but it's a song called "I Run Right Back," and it is so good. The Caddyshack 2 soundtrack is perfect, and this is one of those instances where if you spin the record, everything blends so perfectly. This is such a good soundtrack. It's not even funny. The movie is trash. I like it, but it's terrible. But this soundtrack is absolutely an 80s phenomenon. It's so good. So this is my all-time favorite. This is my all-time non-horror soundtrack ever made.
That is so funny because I am not familiar with that soundtrack whatsoever.
Listen to it. Go listen to it. It's got my favorite. Dude, Nobody's Fool is on Back to Avalon, the Kenny Loggins record. I almost pulled that to show it, but I was like, I don't need to do all that. But Nobody's Fool is one of the catchiest Kenny Loggins songs you'll ever hear. Go listen to it, dude. It's so take I'm All Right and stick it up your ass from the first Caddyshack. Nobody's Fool is so catchy. You'd love it. You would love it. I'm sure you've heard it before.
I'll have to check it out. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the soundtrack at all. I mean, obviously the movie's classic. I saw it in theaters. It's kind of showing my age, I guess, but great album. I mean, great movie and good pick. If it's your favorite soundtrack, I'm definitely interested in hearing it.
Yeah, I mean, the movie's terrible.
I don't think it's a terrible. I mean,
here's the thing. It's so shitty.
It's a sign of the time, I think. You know.
Well, you know the story. You know what happened.
No.
Rodney Dangerfield was like, we need to do a Caddyshack 2. And he started getting people involved in it. But then when the script came, Rodney hated the script. He pulled out of the movie, got sued by Universal, whoever the studio was. I think it was Universal, got sued by the studio. Chevy agreed to do it, got $800,000 for a week's worth of work. Told the director, let me know when you dub the laugh track in this piece of shit movie. Told that to the director of the movie because it was so bad. It's
wow.
It's so cheesy. I love it. But dude, I'm telling you, go listen to Nobody's Fool by this is the greatest. I'm telling you, the soundtrack is fire. And Dan Aykroyd plays the most bizarre character in a movie I've ever seen. The most bizarre character in a movie. He plays like a retarded crazy guy. I don't know how else to put it. He's so funny in it, but it's cringy as hell. Take his judge character from Nothing But Trouble and amplify it times 100. That's how bizarre he is in Caddyshack 2. But it's the greatest soundtrack ever.
Is he not playing Bill Murray's part in the sequel? I thought he was for some reason.
Oh, he makes Bill Murray's character look like Albert Einstein in part.
But it's not supposed to be the same lineage there. Oh, okay.
No, his character is way dumber.
So wait a minute. I might be like I might not have seen Caddyshack 2 in forever because Bill Murray's not in that one at all.
The only returning character is Chevy Chase.
What?
And he agreed to do the movie because Dangerfield was setting it up to get everybody back. But when the script came back, he completely pulled out. He voided his contract, got sued, and still refused to do the movie. But Chevy signed on to do it. $800,000 for a week's worth of work. He said this on Howard Stern. And this movie is, I'm telling you, Brandon, Garrett, it's terrible, but it's cringy fun. But the soundtrack is, I can't believe how good it is because it's not a low budget film. I mean, you still had Dan Aykroyd. You had Jackie Gleason. Is that his name?
I gotta go back and watch that. I probably seen it. I saw it at the drive-in actually when I was a little kid. It was with I could be wrong. It could be that and Beetlejuice maybe. I don't remember if they came out the same year or not. But I don't. For some reason, I'm getting the first one and the second one like really meshed together. So I think I got to go back and watch that movie because I have a hard time remembering that Bill Murray was not in one of those. But the Gophers in it, right?
The Gopher's got a prominent spot right there on the
okay.
artwork.
Okay, so I will have to check it. Oh, you know what? I now seeing Dan Aykroyd thing. I do remember when he gets sucked the poison out, right? That's the one where he gets shot.
I need you to suck the poison. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I do remember that now. All right.
It really confounds my brain how good the soundtrack is to this movie. Like, it's so uneven. I love it. I need to shut up. I'm truly passionate about the Caddyshack 2 soundtrack. It's my favorite.
I'm gonna go through the chat really quick before I get to mine, just because Simon said something here that's interesting to me, because I almost brought this up. He said, Keith Forsey wrote, "Don't forget about me" for Billy Idol, and he didn't want to record it, so Simple Minds stepped in. Idol later recorded it. Okay, now why that's so funny to me is because I have a Billy Idol album with that song on it, and for the longest time I thought that it was Billy Idol, and then when I went back, when I was younger, and I realized that the song from the movie was a different band, like Simple Minds, I was so confused because I had a Billy Idol album with that on there. So this totally makes sense that he recorded it later. I just had no idea. I thought maybe he just did a cover of it after a while, but that's great info if that's the truth.
Which version do you like better?
Simple Minds.
I think Simple Minds is a better version just because that's the one I'm used to. But it was nice to hear it on Idol's album. And it might have been it could have been a greatest hits Idol album that I have. I don't remember which one that was on there. But I thought that was pretty good info because I almost brought that up when you were talking about Breakfast Club. But Simon also says Fast Getaway soundtrack, Brooklyn Harder. Fast Getaway, like the Corey Haim movie, that one? Or is there another one? Because I don't know the soundtrack. If so, I'm going to definitely try to hunt it down. This is awesome. I finally grabbed 2 of my Holy Grail, License to Drive and Valley Girl. Wow. I would love to get License to Drive. Yeah. I mean, I don't own that at all. That's awesome. Yeah, you're definitely gonna let me know. And I'm gonna do a couple after I do these 2, I'll do oh hell yeah, it is the one with the hamster. Okay, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna do some just ones that I don't own that I want to talk about really quick before we end. But these last 2, I'll just bounce them out now. Number 1 is gonna be the Rad soundtrack. Fantastic. I mean, Break the Ice, it's got on there, it's got what was the other one? Send Me an Angel's on here. You've got Thunder in Your Heart. I mean, such a cool movie, such a cool soundtrack. Pure 80s. Look at the back here. You got Bart with the chick. It's so cool. Awesome. I'm sure a lot of people on here are familiar with this. They probably really love it. I do not own Dream of a Little Dream soundtrack either. I do not. And then my all-time favorite, I don't know if you would say this. I guess you wouldn't say this is horror. Non-horror soundtrack is going to be Teen Wolf. Is probably my all-time favorite soundtrack if we're saying this is not horror, horror comedy, horror. But man, and I don't know if it has to do with just my nostalgia of this movie because I watched it about 1 billion times as a kid. But the music I can sing all the way through. You got like Flesh on Fire, Big Bad Wolf, Win in the End, Shooting for the Moon, Silhouette. And you get the Transformation, that like score tune, really, really cool. And that Boof score tune as well is really good. So
I need that bad.
That is my absolute favorite non-horror soundtrack as well. And yeah, Send Me an Angel was in a lot of movies someone brought up. It was in The Wizard with Fred Savage. It was in Teen Wolf 2. It was also in Rad. Yeah.
Now, is that an original pressing? Or is that a reissue?
Teen Wolf?
Yeah.
It's original, but the Rad, I think, is a reissue.
Yeah, I need Teen Wolf bad because, dude, I love that. It's a big bad wolf. And then when you hear that, how did you see that the wolf still haunts me? It jams.
Yeah,
I need it so bad because I want to rip the entire record for people to hear it on vinyl. I need the Teen Wolf so bad.
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody said in here that they thought it was pretty hard to find. I've had this quite a while, so I don't remember how much I paid for it. But I do think that this Rad one, if you don't have Rad, I think this is. I didn't get this too long ago. I think this was a repressing that maybe Walmart might have did or something, or somebody did that might have been limited. But if you're interested in that, it might be pretty easy to find. But that's kind of my list, and I did have a couple ones that I wanted to mention that I didn't own that I thought I did. And if you guys have anything you want to throw out there, I'll just throw out there now. I wrote them down. Obviously, one I thought I had, two I thought I had was Last American Virgin, which is an amazing soundtrack. If you guys don't own that one, oh baby, hell yeah!
That's just the Blu-ray, but
REO Speedwagon. I mean, it's so full
Journey.
of great jams in there. Journey, and then the other one that I swore I had, but I could not find it was Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's got an amazing soundtrack in there. You got people like Tom Petty on that one. It's so good, and if people in the chat, I'm sure you would agree with me on that one. And I think that one were the only two I mentioned. Yeah, those are the only two I have written down are the ones that I don't own. Oh, and I had Transformers, the cartoon movie. I thought that was another one that was really, really good. Look at Staying Alive, man. That movie needs that.
I love it. I thought somebody was going to say it.
Dude, that has no, like, I don't know when the last time that thing there's no Blu-ray for that or anything.
That screams Vinegar Syndrome right there.
Oh my God. You know what? I'm going to go out there. I like Staying Alive better than I like Saturday Night Fever, personally.
I almost pulled that out too, but I was like, that's enough. This is enough BGs for one episode.
Oh, I love Staying Alive.
I feel like strutting.
Well, I like the Frank Stallone. I need to get the record. Frank Stallone put out, Garrett, I guarantee you would love it. Frank Stallone put out a record in '84, completely produced by Vince DiCola, who did the soundtrack for Rocky IV. So that production and that vibe of sound, it's on that Frank Stallone record, and it's got Far From Over on it. But obviously, This Is the End. That Stallone, the Frank Stallone is a great singer. Like, he's kind of underrated, really, because that '84 record he put out is fantastic, and so is this soundtrack, though. My mom raised me on this soundtrack. She loves Staying Alive.
John Doe says he thinks Staying Alive was announced for. I hope it was. I'm not aware, but it could have been.
It better have been.
Is there anything else that you guys want to bring up that maybe we didn't talk about?
No, I was kind of. Oh, it's a laser disc, but Last Action Hero.
Ooh. Oh yeah,
you know,
definitely.
God damn.
Megadeth, AC/DC, hell yeah.
The AC/DC song "Big Guns." It's like an extension of Razor's Edge to me. You know, it sounds like it could have gone so perfectly on that record, and then the two Alice in Chains songs. I can't believe Brandon didn't say Last Action Hero. You get two Alice in Chains songs on it.
You know what else I didn't say that had Alice in Chains on it was the movie called Singles. It had a really good soundtrack, but didn't bring that up either.
Son of a
bitch. Some other ones we kind of left off the table, but that, you know, but like I said, we could have been here all night with it. But I mean, it was super fun, guys, doing this. It was different. I liked it a lot, and we knew we were going to kind of like doing this, and it really has me like kind of itching to, you know, go out there and get some more stuff that we talked about. And like I said, before I do that, I got to get my setup a little bit better. But we've already got a part 2 planned, guys. So we can talk about that really quick. We're going to do a sequel to this already. And we're going to be talking horror soundtracks you need to hear. And that's going to be Tuesday, May 16th. And that's going to be over on this dude's channel right there. He's going to host the horror. So make sure you are subscribed to Planet CHH, and make sure you're subscribed over here at Tabata Vision. And they are known as Planet Dirty. And I'll be hanging out with those guys as Brandon's eating his butter and milk duds, and we'll be talking horror movie soundtracks. So if you like what we did tonight, you've got to make your way over there and set the notification for the 16th of May.
Hell yeah.
We are going to bring the butter next time.
Turn it up, bring the butter.
Can't find the butter, man. I bet if you like go through those lyrics, you could come up with like really perfect lyrics for it too. You know, I think if you really went down and like really tried to do it, you'd be like, dude, I have the best freaking lyrics with it.
I can't wait.
It has to be done.
I can't wait when we do the horror episode, and the first thing Brandon says is, "All right, Brandon, what's your pick? All right, this one's not really horror, but watch. But some of the imagery is scared. So in the Return to Oz, there's this great song in there."
But no, dude, this was fun, and I think with the horror ones, it's going to be, you know, even cooler, just because again, there's a lot of great stuff out there. And plus, we're going to try to do the same thing where we're not going to go for the scores. And it's going to be interesting with the horror stuff because, with the non-horror, you have a lot of, soundtracks with like great music and stuff. But I think with the horror stuff, yeah, that's going to be a big one. That's going to be a huge one. So, but guys, do you have anything else you want to talk about or promote on your channels before we take off for the night? Because we're right at 2 hours right now.
Go ahead, Brandon.
I do not.
You have nothing coming up that you're aware
of. Christian, you go ahead. I'm trying to quantify what's coming up on my channel. Actually, what the fuck is coming out?
I'll go real quick. I always keep myself busy on Planet CHH. I got a video coming out tomorrow on. I'm doing a video on vintage horror DVDs and going through some artists and stuff and just relics from the past, like this Prom Night 3 and 4 DVD, and just showing stuff like that. And like I said, it's just for fun. I'm just doing the vinyl rips of stuff on Radio CHH, and I'm just having a blast doing that. So go subscribe there. I actually went up 5 subs during the show, so that's really cool. Thank you, Garrett.
Hell yeah. Yeah, no, you're welcome, man. That's awesome, dude.
So follow me there on both of those channels.
Nice. I have a few unboxings coming out this week. I'm writing a bunch of new material for some new Just a Thought videos for next week, and I have a couple alien videos I think that are going to come out this week later on, like maybe Thursday or Friday. So it should be a pretty interesting week. Not as busy as before, but we're getting there. That's over on youtube.com/TabatoVision.
Nice,
dude. Nice. Yeah, guys, thanks for going to check out his new channel over at Radio CHH. Again, it's definitely cool to hear some of that stuff ripped from vinyl, especially, like myself, who doesn't have a player that's working right now, and getting to check out some different stuff is super cool. On my channel this week, I have Thursday night, I'm going to be with the boys from Dead Pit, and I'm also going to be with Jason Guy, who was in the chat tonight. So, Jason, thank you for coming in and hanging out. We're going to be bringing him on the show, and he's going to be showcasing some screen-used movie props from his collection. He's another big wig collector. He was the guy that was on the show when he was selling the Nubbins prop. So he's coming back on the show, and he's going to be showcasing some other cool stuff that he has in his collection. Some new stuff, too, horror-related and non-horror-related. And I think you guys are going to really get a kick out of some of the stuff he has, because when he sent me some of the pictures, I'm like, dude, we got to do a show, because it's some pretty sick items he has. So make sure that is going to be on Thursday night with the boys at Dead Pit. It'll be on my channel, and we'll simulcast from their channel as well. So make sure you come check that out. Friday will be the debut of a new series called Rad Dudes. That's going to be on my channel. I'm going to be doing that with Cody at Dude Who Loves Movies. And we're going to be talking about 90s like martial arts flicks that came out around like the kind of like the post Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle craze. We're going to be talking about those movies. And then you get some Rad Pack stuff coming this month as well. We have 2 shows. So make sure if you are not over there, find the Rad Pack on YouTube and subscribe there, because that's where all those shows are going to be hosted, as well as the audio at the Rad Pack on Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff. So that's what we got kind of going over here. And then, I might do some reviews here and there or some up all nights, but just kind of going out on my channel for the rest of the month. And again, you can find me on Tuesday, the 16th, over on Christian's Planet CHH channel, talking horror movies, soundtracks,
talking some bangers.
Check out. So,
and then I see Alice Cooper the next day. That's going to be a hell of a 2 days. I see him the 17th.
Wow. All right. And is that a Wednesday? Is that I'm trying to make sure if I have my dates right.
Yeah. It's a Wednesday. I know it's crazy, but I'm seeing Alice Cooper on a Wednesday, then waking my ass up at 5:45 in the morning to go to work after that. So,
wow. What a trooper.
I'll be drinking a lot of these.
Hell yeah. All right, guys. But again, thank you so much for coming on, you two. I appreciate it. Always a fun time. Definitely a cool show, chat. Thank you again. Make sure you're subbed to, if you're coming here and you've never been on my channel before, sub here. Sub to these dudes here. If you liked this stream and you're excited for part 2, make sure you hit that thumbs up, because it really helps it out, and share this around. Again, if you think there's other people that would be interested in talking soundtracks, because that's what it was all about tonight. So again, this is Garrett at Born to Be Rad, and like always, stay